Everybody, thank you very much. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic movie review. I'm talking about Gone with the Wind from 1939, directed by Victor Fleming. And Victor Fleming has directed many classics. The same year that this came out, he came out with his classic The Wizard of Oz that I talked about on my channel. Can't recommend enough to people that haven't seen that. He also directed Treasure Island. He also made Joan of Arc with Ingrid Bergman. And this movie stars the great Clark Gable, who was in classics like It Happened One Night, where he won the Academy Award for Best Actor. He was also in movies like Run Silent, Run Deep, and Mutiny on the Bounty. Vivien Leigh, who is terrific in this movie, one of her best performances that I've ever seen her in. I've only seen her in a small handful of films, but for me, I think this and her performance in A Streetcar Named Desire as Blanche Dubois, her two greatest roles ever. This movie co-stars Hattie McDaniel, the first ever African American actress to win an Oscar. This also co-stars in the role of Ashley Wilkes, Leslie Howard. In the role of Melanie Wilkes, you have Olivia de Havilland. And this is a very epic film. This is a long film. It's a 4-hour epic. There is a lot to gush over about Gone with the Wind in terms of how good the story is, in terms of the execution of the filmmaking. From a technical standpoint, considering this was made in 1939, this is an excellent achievement in filmmaking. At the same time, while watching this movie, there are some things that I have to admit to everybody don't sit all that well. And I'll get to that in a bit. But the movie opens in a grand way, epic way, with the title card of the title just kind of going across the screen in these big letters, very much in the same style of the 1976 classic Rocky. So watching Rocky, it's kind of difficult not to associate that title card with the Gone with the Wind introduction, because it's kind of the same style when you see that big title come up. And pretty cool way to start a movie, I think. Before this very epic period romance and family saga story kicks off, there is a poem at the very beginning of the film that kind of helps the audience to understand what they're about to see and helps to set the tone for the movie. And the poem goes, "There was a land of cavaliers and cotton fields called the Old South. Here in this pretty world, gallantry took its last bow. Here was the last ever to be seen of knights and their ladies fair, of master and of slave. Look for it only in books, for it is no more than a dream remembered, a civilization gone with the wind." One of the many things that I love about movies is they don't always have to be about characters that you would want to hang out with or you would agree with everything about. It's important that movies also challenge us and help us to understand other points of views, even if we don't like them or agree with them. And the great thing about classic films, there are like little windows in time and little points in history where you see the way people once lived and the way they thought. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Regarding the story of this film, at the very beginning, we meet our main character for the first time, played by Vivien Leigh, Scarlett O'Hara. We see that she is in a family that has money because of the kind of clothes and the dresses that she wears. We see that she's a very pretty young lady that has these young men kind of flocking around her, trying to vie for her affections. She has one guy in terms of her sights set on somebody that he's like the guy that's like the end of it all. He's like the be all end all, the end of the earth for her. And she is fixated on this guy. She is obsessed with this Ashley Wilkes, who has his eye on his cousin, Melanie. So you watch the movie in the first 10-15 minutes and you realize, okay, the whole cousin kissing cousins thing, it's a reality here. It's just a part of the norm for them. Clark Gable's character Rhett Butler is one of the great movie characters of all time. He is a man's man. He's a scoundrel. He is a forward thinker. Before the war even starts, he's very much against it because he knows that the Yankees are better equipped. Rhett Butler's character has some of the best dialogue all throughout this movie and some of the best lines. This party scene where he's trying to convince all these Southern gentlemen about why the South wouldn't fare too good in a war with the Yankees. He talks about how the Yankees have this and they have that, and us, the South, what do we got? All we got is cotton, slaves, and arrogance. And it's a very great sequence, actually. In that same party scene, we see Scarlett trying to talk to Ashley in private, knowing that he very well is trying to talk to his cousin Melanie, and she tries to shoot her shot. He turns her down, and he walks out of the room. And it turns out that Rhett has been in the room and the whole time, pretty much hiding, not hiding, but he was, just like there and laying on a couch, like where they couldn't see him or whatever. And so when he pops up and reveals himself and that he's been listening to everything, he kind of has to tell Scarlett, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody. Your secret's safe with me." But he also lays it on pretty thick that he has kind of a thing for her too. So when it finally becomes official that Ashley Wilkes is finally going to be together with his cousin Melanie, Scarlett O'Hara decides that she is just gonna get with some other guy because she thinks that it's going to hurt him, even though he really doesn't give a crap. But yeah, she marries some other guy out of spite, some soldier named Hamilton. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't live too long, and then she becomes a widow. And as she's a widow, she is very kind of resentful of having to wear like the black mourning outfits because she was never really into the relationship to begin with. One of the many great things about this film, at least for me, is even though it's about a main character that I don't really find all that appealing in terms of many of her character traits, the movie finds a way to get me on board with her character because it allows her character to evolve due to her situation. She's kind of forced to grow up, and how she starts out is not how she ends up. The very beginning of the film, she is very reliant on those around her, and then war comes. As the Yankees arrive in the South, more and more people that her and her family and friends know are coming back in body bags, and then the South is actually at one point on fire all around them as they have to leave before the Yankees come and kill off them and everybody they know. And so Scarlett O'Hara was kind of forced into taking charge and kind of becoming a little tougher. And it's not without help. She has Rhett Butler to come to the rescue every now and then. We kind of see the beginning of Scarlett's transformation of her character in the film in the scenes where we see her working as a nurse for all the wounded, helping out all the people there that have been coming back from the war that need amputations and stuff like that. And we see that the grim realities of the war have become all the more real for her as the Yankees keep on coming in and just blowing everything up, setting things on fire, and just basically watching the South crumbling around her as she decides she's going to try and get back home to Tara, to her family, her immediate family, upon arriving, finding out that things have gone to hell. There's also a scene in this movie I gotta mention that took me completely by surprise that I had no idea I would see in a 30s film, where Scarlett O'Hara is at home and a Yankee intruder shows up at her house and he's wandering around trying to look for stuff he can steal from the house. And Scarlett comes up on him on the stairs and shoots him blank in the face. They actually show it. Very slick, very well done editing in that scene. And for 1939, I was completely shocked that this kind of thing was even in this movie. I gotta talk about the character of Melanie Wilkes real quick, played by Olivia de Havilland, who is excellent as Lady Marian in The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn. And her character is just way too nice all throughout the film. There are scenes where you can completely forgive her if she wanted to get mad at Scarlett's character for whatever reason, because all throughout the film, she's kind of in Scarlett's debt for certain things that I don't want to give away. I'll just let you watch that to find that out for yourself if you haven't seen it. But still, her character goes through a lot, and even though Scarlett O'Hara is there for her quite a bit, she's still, Scarlett O'Hara being very mischievous and manipulative at times and conniving, and so I think that the Olivia de Havilland character Melanie does have grounds to kind of get mad at her every now and then, but she never does. She always just has this kind of upbeat attitude about her no matter what. And yeah, she's just like a beacon of light in this movie. And sometimes you wish that it was mainly about her and Ashley Wilkes because they are the two most likable characters sometimes when they're on the screen. And that's funny saying that about a couple that's basically a couple of cousins, but um, yeah, oddly enough, their romance feels genuine. Considering the beautiful production all throughout this film and the great cinematography, the beautiful costumes, and just the story, And the filmmaking on a technical standpoint, the editing, the music by Max Steiner, who has composed great music for movies like Casablanca and King Kong from 1933. This is a great achievement in filmmaking, even though there are things in the movie that I don't agree with in terms of certain characters' ideologies and the way people would throw out that casual racism out there. As a film, from a technical standpoint, this is a four-star masterpiece of a film. This is classic filmmaking at its finest. For anyone that loves epic films, that loves period films, that loves movies about drama and overall family sagas and stuff like that, Gone with the Wind is definitely something you need to check out if you've never seen it before. This is one of the greatest films of all time. There are a couple of tragedies that occur, especially towards the end of the film, where I got to admit did cause the waterworks to flow by the end of it. And any movie that makes me cry, I got to put my hat off to and give respect to, because it takes quite a bit in order to get my waterworks going sometimes. So yeah, Gone with the Wind, you have my respect. I'm sure you can still find this four-star classic on streaming, since it is still a pretty popular movie from the 1930s. But as far as physical media goes, if you want to get yourself a DVD, I'm sure there might be one or two floating around. This is my copy of the DVD. And as you can see there, that's Scarlett O'Hara right there. And that is Rhett Butler. And yeah, 1939's Gone with the Wind. This is one hell of an epic. I highly recommend. Even though I'm not a big period piece guy myself, this is one of those movies that always kind of just, when I watch it, it's hard not to turn it off. Even though it's a long watch, it's a long sit, it's just that good. Thank you very much for watching this classic movie review. I always appreciate it. If you're into classic movies, if you're into movies, if you're into this kind of thing, hit the bell, become a subscriber. Please don't forget to comment, share, and like. It always helps out the channel. If you're a returning viewer, thank you very much for your support. I always appreciate you supporting the channel. Don't forget to please look out for the next classic movie review. Everybody, please take care of each other. Peace out, and God bless. Till next time.